In the digital dance of love and deceit, Molly McLaren's journey through the corridors of a Tinder romance took an unforeseen twist, leading her from the bright promises of a hopeful future into the chilling labyrinth of a stalker's obsession. Brace yourself for a tale where the glimmer of online connection fades into the shadows of control, manipulation, and a horrifying climax that shatters the illusion of modern love. Molly McClaren was just 23 years old and had her whole life ahead of her when she was stabbed 75 times by her callous ex-boyfriend, Joshua Stimson, in broad daylight. The pair had met on Tinder, and kind-hearted Molly felt sorry for Stimson, believing him to be lonely and hoping she could help him with his mental health. But his behavior became more and more controlling as terrified Molly tried to end the relationship. But he refused to take no for an answer, stalking her and harassing her on social media. And Stimson, who was 2 years older, stalked Molly to her local gym before cornering her in her car and cutting her throat all the way through in June of 2017. What made the murder even more heartbreaking was that Molly had previously reported Stimson to the police due to his threatening behavior, and she was doing her best to stay away from him. Molly had suffered from eating disorders in the past, but she had put her troubled teenage years behind her, and she was well on track to earn a top degree in health and fitness. Busy juggling her studies with seeing her friends, Molly didn't really have time for dating. So she turned to the dating app, Tinder, to find her perfect man. And when Molly from Kent matched with Joshua Stimson in the summer of 2016, she thought she had found him. But her decision to swipe right and start chatting to the warehouse worker would ultimately cost her her life. Molly was determined to take things slowly, and so she and Stimson chatted for 3 months before she agreed to meet him in person. Little did she know that just a few months later, her dreams of romance would turn into a stalking nightmare that would end in her murder. Stimson was Molly's first real boyfriend, and her mom, Jo, said that Molly, who had suffered from anxiety and bulimia, felt sorry for him because she was worried he was lonely. He had confided in Molly that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, something that worried her mom, Jo. Jo said, "She asked me not to judge, but knowing she had issues, I asked her if she really felt able to take on other people's issues. And Molly just said, we could help each other." In reality, Stimson did not have bipolar disorder, and it was denied by both the prosecution and defense psychologists at his trial. Molly's dad, Doug, said Stimson began to get more possessive over Molly, wanting her all to himself and not making any friends of his own. And while Molly attempted to study for her exams before the end of the summer term, Stimson was determined this would not get in the way of the relationship. Stimson quit his job in a bid to spend more time with her, and her cousin Sam said that Molly felt suffocated. The strain of the relationship was now really starting to affect Molly, and she had already suffered from an eating disorder, and she was starting to feel herself slipping into that same road again. So she told Joshua she thought it would be better if they had some space. She tried to break up with Stimson, but he refused to accept her decision and manipulated her into taking him back. He even encouraged her to seek help from her general practitioner about her mental health, making her believe her fears about him were all in her own head and that she was just really unhappy with everything, not just him. But it was at a party to celebrate Molly's aunt's 60th birthday in Essex that Stimson's behavior turned even more dark. Her mom, Jo, recalled, "He was staring at Molly as if to say, 'Come and sit back down. I don't want you dancing.'" She was just dancing with her cousins, and one of the nieces, who had not met him before, said she did not like him. After the party was over and Molly, Stimson, and her mom and dad had all gone to bed, Joe received a chilling WhatsApp message from her daughter. It asked her to come to the room she was sharing with Stimson because he was just really acting off. The couple had been having a disagreement, and Stimson had started to record everything Molly said in a bid to get leverage against her. We all know people that have done that. When Joe got to the room, Stimson tried to make her listen to the recordings of her daughter. Joe said, "That was the first time I really thought, something isn't quite right." But it was the final straw for Molly, who told her mom she didn't feel the same about Stimson, and she knew she had to end it. Her friend said she didn't know how to break up with him. She was just really, so concerned about how he would feel. And that's just how Molly was. She was always putting everybody before herself. But things really came to a head when the couple were on a night out with Molly's friends, and she took Stimson to one side and told him it was over. He couldn't accept her decision, and so he started bombarding her with messages. But Molly remained firm that she would not get back together with him. Stimson then started a campaign of abuse on social media, creating posts claiming that Molly was a drug addict who used cocaine and slept around, and he was tagging her parents, so of course they would see the posts. That abuse carried on for days, and Molly was becoming increasingly scared. So with the encouragement of her parents, she decided to go to the police. When the police questioned Stimson over the phone, Joe, who was in the room while the call took place, recalled that Stimson was cool, calm, and collected. And quite cold, actually. When threatened with arrest if he kept up his social media posts, Joe said Stimson kept repeating, "I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. And if you think I have, there's more to come." She added, "Those words still haunt me now." Officers checked their files, and Stimson had no record, so police told Molly and her friends and family to just block him on social media and to report any further abuse. Molly and her family also asked Facebook twice to investigate Stimson's posts, but the social media giant told the family that he had not broken any of the site's rules. 11 days after they split, Molly posted that she was going out for dinner with friends on Snapchat, thinking Stimson couldn't see it because she had him blocked. But while she was with her pals in the restaurant, he turned up. Molly, however, put it down to simple coincidence, but she felt really, really uncomfortable, so she went home early that night. The following morning, she went to the gym as usual to fit in some practice for her courses. As she started her workout, she was horrified when Stimson walked into the same gym and started training close to her, having used another woman's social media account to stalk and track where Molly was. Chilling CCTV shows her approach him before sending a terrified text to her friend Amy, telling her he was there, and another to her mom saying, "Mom, he's turned up at the gym and come next to me." She then called her mother, who told her to come straight home, but of course to drive safely. That was the last time Joe ever spoke to her daughter. Molly abandoned her workout and waited until she had seen Stimson leave before making her way to her car. She sent another text to Amy, one of many, but the last that she would ever send, saying, "I feel like I'm looking over my shoulder all the time." The 23-year-old had no idea her killer was laying in wait with a bag containing the 2 knives and pickaxe he used to butcher her. Once she was in the driver's seat, Stimson abandoned his vehicle, yanked open her door, and launched a flurry of knife blows, 75 in total. Molly tried to fight them off, screaming and beeping her horn. Sadly, she died within minutes. A passerby did desperately try to save the 23-year-old by pulling Stimson out of the car and slamming the door on him. But his legs were so slick with the victim's blood that the Good Samaritan couldn't get a hold of him. He was arrested at the scene, where his first words were, "She's in the car. I've killed her." Devastatingly, the public nature of the attack meant news quickly spread about what had happened on social media, and Molly's friends and family discovered the horrifying truth about her murder before the police could reach them. Her mom, Jo, also had the horrific task of telling Molly's dad, Doug, who was working on a boat 100 miles off the coast of Senegal, about his daughter's murder by phone. She said he was so far away and he had to cope with that with no one around him. It really was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. Her dad, Doug, added, I went to the hospital and I did get to see her, but that was the worst day of my life. Despite being found at the scene, covered in blood and with the murder weapon in Molly's car, Stimson heaped more hell on the family by pleading not guilty to murder on the grounds of diminished responsibility. The killer insisted he could remember nothing about the attack, meaning the case went to trial, and Molly's loved ones, they had to hear the gruesome details of her death in the courtroom. Two of Stimson's ex-girlfriends told the court that previously he had stalked them after they split. One of the women said he would follow her and take pictures of her, and that he also sent her a photo of her back garden and threatened to drown her on a holiday, while another said spat drink all over her in a nightclub after they split, then waited outside for hours for him to leave. Police also testified that they had warned Joshua twice to stay away from Molly, and that he was last spoken to by cops on June 27th, just 2 days before her brutal death. In February of 2019, the jury found Stimson guilty of murder, and he was jailed for life with a minimum of 26 years after jurors took less than 3 hours to convict him of murder. After Molly's tragic death, the University of Kent that she had been attending awarded Molly a posthumous degree and presented it to her parents.
Most Honourable Chancellor, it is with great sadness that I now invite Doug and Joanne McLaren to accept the award of undergraduate diploma in sports and exercise for health, awarded posthumously to Molly McLaren.
He gives them the certificate, speaks to them, and it's at that stage after that that everybody gets the nod. And at the same point, Gavin turned Joe and Doug towards the congregation so they could hear and see this celebration.
It was just like I was cheering for her as though she was getting her certificate, because I would have cheered so loudly because I've been so proud of her.
As we conclude this really heartbreaking journey through Molly McLaren's story, let us join hands in turning her tragedy into a force for change. Let's make her memory a call to action, a commitment to fostering safe and truly genuine connections in our digital lives. Together, we can transform the pain she endured into a powerful message of vigilance and compassion. Let Molly's story be a guiding light, reminding us that every online connection really does hold the potential for positivity and warmth. In her honor, let's build a digital world where love triumphs over darkness, and where each of us plays a huge part in guarding the light she so tragically lost.